Jai Hind and good morning, everybody. This is Brigadier Hemant MAHAJAN, who welcomes you to another session on national security. The subject that we are going to talk today is Atmanirbhar Bharat. I repeat the subject. I put it on the Facebook yesterday also, and a lot of people had responded positively to it. Atmanirbhar Bharat. We will talk in English and also in Hindi for the ease of understanding of everybody. Atmanirbhar Bharat ये क्या चीज है? If you remember, till 2014, nearly 70% of our equipment of the Indian Armed Forces were imported from outside, especially countries like Israel, Russia, USSR, that is America, and other European countries, including France, Britain, etc. Now, this is not a very good thing to happen, because if we intend to be a superpower, if we intend to be a strong nation, we need to manufacture our equipment inside the country. Not only that, because this flow of equipment, flow of arms and ammunition can be stopped during a war or a war-like situation. तो हमने बहुत बड़ी कोशिश की, बहुत पॉलिसीज चेंजेस हुए. पहले 49% फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट लाई गई, फिर उसके बाद आगे बढ़ी. फिर भी जो इंटरेस्ट दिखाना था लोगों ने भारत में मैन्युफैक्चर करने के लिए, वो दिखाया नहीं था. बहुत कोशिश करनी पड़ी हमें आत्मनिर्भर भारत की जो प्रतिमा है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत का जो एफर्ट है, उसे एक ट्रैक के ऊपर लाने के लिए. और आज का स्टेटस ये है कि आज अगर मेरी फिगर्स ठीक है तो जो 70% हमारी इंपोर्ट्स के ऊपर डिपेंडेंसी थी, वो अभी कम होके मेरे ख्याल से 30% पे आई है. अभी कुछ दिन पहले ही 1 फरवरी को श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन ने डिफेंस बजट जाहिर किया. डिफेंस बजट में उन्होंने बोला कि जो हमारी कैपिटल बजट है, आपको पता है कि डिफेंस बजट के 2 भाग होते हैं, रेवेन्यू और कैपिटल. कैपिटल बजट जो होता है वो मॉडर्नाइजेशन के लिए या नए इक्विपमेंट को लाने के लिए इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. तो 68% ऑफ द कैपिटल बजट विल बी बॉट फ्रॉम कंपनीज विच आर बेस्ड इन इंडिया, यानी कि वो आत्मनिर्भर भारत की तरफ एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है. एंड एज कंपेयर टू लास्ट ईयर, डेफिनेटली द थिंग्स आर मच बेटर. और इतना ही नहीं, तो उन्होंने बोला कि जो रिसर्च होता है वो 25% विल बी शेयर्ड विद प्राइवेट कंपनीज, academic world, plus research organizations, etc. तो ये है हमारा आज का टॉपिक. and the person who is going to talk to us today is a very qualified person, and I welcome Lieutenant General Vinod Khandare. General Khandare is a former military advisor to the National Security Council Secretariat, and he retired from there just on 2021 after completing 3 years tenure there. Not only that, he was a Director General of DIA, that is Defense Intelligence Agency, for a sufficiently long time, and a Deputy Chief of Integrated Defense Staff handling the Tri-Service Intelligence. So he has a tremendous experience in dealing with Tri-Service organization. He has a tremendous experience in dealing with the intelligence, that is about the enemies of our country, etc. And he is handled military affairs. He's been involved in advising at the very highest level, decision-making, analysis, assessment of national security and national interest. And during his service time, he's had a long tenures on the Indo-China border, Indo-Pakistan border. He has a lot of experience of dealing with the terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. He's dealt with the insurgency in the Northeast. So you name a security challenge which is faced by the Indian Armed Forces, and he's taken them head-on during his service. And now that he is retired, but retired is not a correct word in his case, he is extremely active in the strategic community, and he still advises many government bodies on various facets of national security. So he's played a very important part in evaluating and formulation of the various reforms in the security sector. And currently, he is a distinguished fellow at the USI, which is a very eminent think tank based in Delhi. He is also a part of Rashtriya Raksha University, a university that deals with national security based in Gandhinagar. He is very active in giving talks, lectures, attending seminars, participating in international, national, and armed forces seminars, and he renders advice to various ministries, think tanks, pursues Atmanirbhar Bharat agenda in defense production, and also shaping the youth of the country in national human resources capital. So he's working presently on the Indian way of fighting. The wisdom, the lesson that can be derived from the history, military and non-military way forward. So in nutshell, General Khandare is an extremely qualified person to talk about our defense sector, our defense industry, Atmanirbhar Bharat, etc. Now we are going to talk for next 25 to 30 minutes. And if you have any questions, you can put it either on the Zoom chat box or you can send it to me on my WhatsApp, and we will take some selected questions which the General will try to answer. Now, before I hand over the mic to General Khandare, I would like to ask him the journey that this Atmanirbhar Bharat has taken. What was the situation before 2014? What is the improvement that has taken place from 2014 till date? That is the first question that I would like to ask, and then we will talk about the other facets. General Khandare, please.
Thank you so much, sir, and Jai Hind to all the viewers. Your first question I will answer. Before that, my gratitude for such a generous introduction to the viewers, sir. The journey till 2014 or after that, let me put it across, sir, that I think as a civilization, we always believed in Atmanirbharta. And as a civilization, when we believed in Atmanirbharta, it was not only about materials, it was not only about technology, it was also about the men or the women, that is the human resource, which is actually supposed to be called the human capital. We had our own system of education, and we had our own system of using the experience of the elders. And accordingly, we had the wisdom to understand what is best for us. And accordingly, our country and the civilization was progressing. Our country's shape may have been different. Its components may have been in different forms. But I think one common thread to the Indic civilization was wisdom. And that taught us that if you are dependent on somebody, you're going to lose. You recollect, sir, that during the period when we had excellent horsemen and we were dependent on horses from abroad, we were dependent on horses from Arabia, or we were dependent on horses from Central Asia. And then somewhere in the period when Shivaji brought in the Dakhani breed of horses, and that introduced the best possible horses for Indian central or southern India suitability of weather, climate and terrain. Somewhere down the line, because possibly the education system changed and we were dependent on getting the finished products from United Kingdoms, who were the colonial masters, we got into a habit of sending the raw material and getting the finished products. That has impacted so much on our thought process that even after 1947, we continued with that. And the education system did not produce that kind of thought process where we would have said, okay, this is a local problem, this needs a local solution. Rather than that, we were looking towards the West. And that put us into a very big bind. And it's only in the recent few years that a very strong decision has been taken that we need to come home, we need to get our local talent in place, we need to identify our local challenges and have the local solutions with the local talent. Right. The point is, can we do it all of a sudden? No, it's going to be a sustained journey, sustained effort. What is it that we have today is what should we use best. Where we have been possibly working hard towards the last about 8 years or so is to identify what is the benchmark of our proficiency in the defense production sector. And there we realized that the decision makers or the practitioners who are into this entire chain of decision making, they have an information void, or they used to have. And the information void was, what is exactly the level where our local products can match with the local requirement. There is a very popular saying that invariably when you try to compete with your adversary, you try to copy the adversary and become the same. That's not the way to fight a war. the Chinese or the Pakistanis, who are our main adversaries, they will fight war the way it suits them. But we should fight the way our strengths give us the solutions. So that means we don't have to do bean counting that, okay, so many tanks, so we will need so many tanks. So many fighter aircraft, so we will need. We all learned, and from seniors like Brigadier Mahajan, we learned that we need to evolve our own method of fighting wars. We need to find our ways of ensuring deterrence so that conflict avoidance keeps the nation safe and keeps its budget balanced between development and security. And that is where we realize that if bulk of our foreign exchange is going to go abroad, then where is the money left for better development or better security? In the last couple of years, less than a decade, there's been a lot of effort, and you can get on to the website of Ministry of Defense and you'll realize in the last 8-9 years what has been achieved. There's been a tremendous growth in the defense exports also. Brigadier Mahajan brought out about the imports part. I am saying the defense exports. And here I would like to stress, if you have the technology, if you have the talent, you have the skills, and you have the capability to manufacture something for yourself, and it is introduced into your armed forces, it will go abroad and be exported, which will get you foreign exchange. So it's a double advantage that you preserve and conserve your foreign exchange from going abroad because you don't buy from outside. At the same time, you export and you earn foreign exchange also. It's not an easy job. It's a very difficult job. And there are many things during the course of our discussion I will highlight what needs to be done to improve our performance. We have started, we need to start, and we need to progress in many other fields also. So instead of quantifying as to at what percentage we are, I can only say that we have got the right direction. What we need now is the momentum. And that momentum comes based on the people who are processing these cases, those who are in the production sector, and also the users. They all have to become inclusive and work as a team. And then we will get much more advantage than what we have achieved so far.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your opening remarks. You talked about the journey of the defense industry and how we progressed over a period of time and what changes have taken place in last about 8 or 9 years, especially after 2014. I would like to tell the viewers that defense industry was nothing new to India. Frankly speaking, our defense industry that is talking about the ordnance factories started sometime in Second World War. I remember Second World War, a lot of these ordnance factories used to supply stuff to the armies fighting outside, especially the Indian Army troops, etc. Then we had the DPSUs, Defense Public Sector Undertakings, etc. Now, there are so many ordnance factories, but what was realized over a period of time was that their productivity was less, the cost of standards were not up to the mark, the cost was on the higher side, etc. So now, and in fact, just yesterday, I read in the newspaper that one of the reforms that government has done to improve the productivity of ordnance factories and also DPSUs is corporatization of the ordnance factories. And yesterday's newspaper, or was the day before yesterday, there was a news that the civilians working in the ordnance factories have gone to the Chennai Madras High Court and have said that this corporatization should stop, because their interest here, none of these people are willing to work hard and become as efficient. So please tell us about the changes that have taken place in the ordnance factories, the changes that have taken place in the DPSUs, and then after that part, then we will come over to the private sector, which has been a major changeover. General Khandare.
Yes, ordnance factories, like what you correctly said, they have a long history in India. And when we became independent in 1947, all the factories were left in India. Pakistan did not even have a single factory, but they went about creating those ordnance factories in, say, a radius of about 75 to 100 kilometers. In our case, the ordnance factories came up in a manner what the British had left, and subsequently, there were many political considerations because of which the ordnance factories came up. Now that puts the entire cost of production, cost of transportation in a very detrimental manner. Take, for example, if there is some propellant or explosive which is being produced and you have a factory near Coimbatore, that is in near Ooty, the British put it there, set it there because the temperatures are low and the possibility and probability of fire accidents would be much less. They had a reason. And they also had a reason that all this material, the raw material, which used to come there from, say, the mines in Hyderabad or from abroad, they used to move very easily. So the supply chain management, even in those days, the British had thought was advantageous. Then there was some explosives which were being manufactured around Pune. So there was a reason, because again, you were closer to the Hyderabad mines. Then how did things start happening? At some stage, the requirement of so-called the socialist reforms, that the jobs had to be created, and jobs had to be created in every part of the country. And that's very peculiar of a democratic country like ours. You will have to do it. In the bargain, what happens? The cost of our product is not commercially competitive globally. The second thing that happens is the cost borne by the armed forces is also high. While the cost of labor may be less, but the transportation increases, the time delays increase. Time delays increase in small manners where the processes are not so well streamlined. Take, for example, an igniter set is moving, say, from Katni, and then it is coming to Chanda, and there the defect is found, then the whole thing goes back again. You have components which are being manufactured at Ambajari, and from Ambajari, they will go to Itarsi for filling. From there, they will come back to Chanda, and then they will move to Pulgaon. You imagine the kind of things that happen where such movements take place. That disadvantage was overcome by Pakistan. In the bargain, they were able to make commercially competitive parts of arms and ammunition, and that is why in foreign exchange they did well, better than us. And that is always true when the younger brother learns from the elder brother's mistakes. So I think they had an inherent advantage in that. That is one part of it. The second part of it is once the ordnance factories came into being, the work culture, in whatever manner it got shaped, and where you have the labor unions, you have the rights of the workers, and the kind of supervision possibly may not have been as good. So the productivity also was suboptimal, I would say. Not in every factory. There were certain factories which were doing extremely well. But a small example I can quote so that the viewers get it clear. And why am I in a position of authority to tell you is that in 2019, we did a study which was then put up to the PM. And in that, we had brought out extremely clearly that what are the cases where attention of the apex body in the country needs to be focused on. General Subrata Saha, me and Brigadier Vinod Ramchandran, we had done this study. And two small examples, like take, for example, combat dress. Brigadier Mahajan and me, we have worn that for more than 4 decades, and we are aware that soldier, once attired properly, is in the best form of effectiveness and efficiency. The cost of one set, that is the jacket combat and trouser combat, in Delhi in Gopinath Bazaar would be about 1,200 rupees. And what was given to the army by the ordnance factory, the cluster which is around Kanpur, was 3,150. So even if I round it up to 1,500 and 3,000, you can make out when General Rawat said that in the same cost, I can give this, I can equip 2 soldiers, or I can give 2 sets to the same soldier. He was absolutely right. And the process was that the army would indent, which essentially meant that you tell the ordnance factory that I will be taking for the army so many lakhs of uniforms, which means they have assured orders. Their booking is complete for the next 1 year, 2 years. The delivery is not up to the mark. The time delays. If I go to Gopinath Bazaar, I have my own fitting. Alteration also is done there. The choice of cloth is mine. We had any number of complaints, and the veterans are all aware of it. The color or the shade of the shirt and the trouser always varied because of peculiar practices that there was one थान which was given, एक थान दिया है जिसमें से जैकेट बन रहा है, दूसरे थान में से ट्राउजर बन रही है, तो ऑब्वियसली उसका शेड तो अलग ही होना है. तो आपका कॉस्ट भी ठीक नहीं था, आपका टाइमली डिलीवरी भी ठीक नहीं था, आपकी क्वालिटी भी ठीक नहीं थी, एंड द सेटिस्फैक्शन लेवल. एंड इफ यू लुक एट एनी सोल्जर, विच एवर आर्म ऑफ सर्विस और विच एवर आर्म्ड फोर्स ही मे बी, अगर उसको आपने कपड़े ठीक दिए, उसको खाना आपने ठीक दिया, उसको आराम दिया है, तो वो आपको सियाचिन पे भी अच्छे रिजल्ट देगा, वो आपको दिल्ली में राजपथ की परेड पे भी अच्छे रिजल्ट देगा, वो पढ़ाई लिखाई में भी अच्छा होगा. लेकिन अगर यही चीज आप जो लॉजिस्टिक्स में उसको ठीक से नहीं दे रहे हैं, then I think somewhere the system is flawed, and that is what was understood. And then it was decided that okay, we will identify out of these 41 ordnance factories what can be done. And so I'm not going into details of what was in the report as such, but a decision was taken that we are not going to privatize them. We are going to keep them under the government, and we are looking at 5 years. In these 5 years, there will be 7 clusters. That is, the arms ammunition will be at one particular place. The troop comforts, that is the clothing, that will be at another place. The optical instruments will be at another place. The heavy vehicles will be at another place. So what the government has done is found out a solution where the job assurance has been given to the workers. They're not being thrown out, definitely not. So if somebody goes around telling the media that, look, our jobs are not secure, I don't think that is the correct thing. And even the media must act responsibly and verify this. There was a high-level empowered committee of 5 ministers, very senior ministers. And Mr. Rajnath Singh is a very seasoned politician. He's a person who's come up from the people's background. He knows that if somebody's job goes away, that immediate family and extended family is on the streets, which is not good. So they have taken very considered decisions that for the first 5 years, they're going to support these ordnance factories, but these ordnance factories have to produce results. They cannot be in the same form of functioning that they were. And finally, it is their contribution and service to the nation as well. So this kind of an attitude that, look, we have to get back to the old model may or may not be for the reason that is being projected. There may be some hidden agenda. There may be some political motives. I'm not too sure about it. But I'm sure the government has a mechanism of finding out the real motive of such a petition. In any case, each and every citizen has a right to seek justice from the judiciary. And the judiciary is quite fair and impartial in our country. They may take time, but I'm sure they will look at all the aspects and the deprivations which the armed forces suffer because of inefficiency and ineffectiveness somewhere. So I think that was the reason that the corporatization has taken place. And these 5 years have been given where all kinds of financial support and everything is being given. But the expectation from them is to produce results.
Yeah. Thank you. You explained the journey that the different production is taken in our country, how this the companies were located because of supporting the Second World War thing. I still remember. I mean, this armored vehicles, etc. They are manufactured in Medak, and frankly speaking, our enemies. We should be very clear: are China and Pakistan, so far away. So why should you have factories so deep inside the country? That is one thing that one is still trying to understand, but political reasons, creating jobs, etc., that you explained very well. Now, rather than dwelling too much on the past, now please tell us as to what are the other initiatives that Government of India has taken to enhance the efficiency of indigenous manufacturing. This includes ordnance factories, this includes DPSUs, this includes even the private sector, etc. And with this kind of a major change that the government has done, now what are the challenges that we face to become a world-class supplier of anything? For example, recently we have signed a deal of BrahMos missiles. I think missiles worth about almost 7,000 crores are going to be exported to Philippines, and maybe some more orders may be in offering, especially with respect to Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, etc. So please tell us what are the other initiatives that you have taken to improve the efficiency of the indigenous manufacturing sector, and presently what are the challenges that we face to become world-class, let's say like Israel, or let's say like USA. I'm sure they are world-class, or for that matter even China. Because China, I personally feel, is world-class as far as manufacturing is concerned. That's why they are a factory of the world. So over to you, General Khandare.
Yes, sir. Sir, two parts of your question. The first one, what has the government done so far? And second part is, what are the challenges? Now, in the first part, like all good organization, you have to first lay down an objective. You have to lay down a challenge for the people in the production sector. And the challenge laid down by the Prime Minister is very clear, that we have to go the indigenous way. And secondly, the exports, defense exports particularly, have to reach the $5 billion mark. So he set the goal. Now it's for the Indian defense production entire mechanism to reach there. Now within this, once the goal has been given, and you can see in the last 2-3 years, sir, there's been a tremendous growth in the defense exports. And that includes the public and private sector. And let me highlight here, sir, the private sector's contribution here in the defense exports is much higher, which means that as users, the armed forces have to look at the private sector much more than what we are looking at the public sector. In the last 75 years, we've been dependent on the public sector. We know what are the strengths of the public sector, but we should know what are the strengths in the private sector as well. And here, when the government has started the initiative, setting the goal, and the next thing, in the last about 3 years, there have been 2 lists, the positive lists of indigenization, which have been taken out. And those are in hundreds, where they've been said that, okay, these are the parts which, or this is the equipment which is manufactured in India, we can do with it. We necessarily don't have to get everything imported, but we will import only those things which we really today are not in a position to manufacture. But whatever we are importing today, simultaneous research and development projects have also started, or they were already there. So there is a monitoring and auditing of those projects which is going on as to how many projects did DRDO start, at what stage are they, and why are there time delays, and if they have certain problems, then what are the reasons? So there are a number of studies which have been carried out in my previous organization, NSCS also. One particular study about DRDO, which I told you just now. The second study which is going on, and with all seriousness, is how to get a level playing field for the private sector. The public sector has the patronage of the government. The land is theirs. The assets which are built are again with the public money, that is your and my income tax. The maintenance of these assets is also done through the same thing. The capital which is required to procure the raw material, that is also provided from the defense budget. There's all kind of assurances that are given. Like I told you in the previous answer, the indent is placed, which means there is an assurance of orders. So all these things are the advantages with the public sector. The private sector did not have these advantages. And when this study was being done, it was realized that there are different set of rules. Now, those different set of rules are being looked at as to how those can be brought out. A matter of caution here is whether it is public sector or private sector, the tendency or the possibility of somebody importing something, putting his own stamp and then giving it as Atmanirbhar product is something which needs to be guarded against. There have been instances where people have done this. So that is why when I say indigenous manufacture, whether in public or private sector, we should be very cautious about the genuine indigenous manufacturer. And we should be able to see through. And that is where a lot of interaction between the user, the quality assurance people, as well as the manufacturers have to take place. Whether in the R&D sector, again, the user has to cross-pollinate and put his people inside the research and development laboratories. The R&D sole prerogative has been with the DRDO for the defense research work. But when it comes to sectors like space and all, there have been instances where others have been involved, but for defense sector, we would prefer to have it only with DRDO. But there are private sectors who are doing their own R&D. Even ordnance factories have their limited R&D in terms of designing. So there are plenty of opportunities for the users, and these are challenges where the users have to integrate themselves. the strict compartmentalization of as a user, I will only come into play when the DGQA gives me the equipment, and the DGQA says that I will come into play only when the ordnance factory or the manufacturer tells me. That's not going to work. And that is where we must learn from countries like, very correctly you brought out, sir, Israel, USA, Russia, Korea. You look at China. We have to learn from even our adversaries and not the adversaries, strategic partners also. How did they do it, and what should we be doing? Where are we? So that is the challenge, that an audit, a very frank and candid audit as to where are we today, what is wrong with us, and what is it that has been done rightly by other countries. Like Israel has an advantage that they have conscription. Similar processes exist in Singapore also. They not so strictly enforced, but even China goes through it. Russia goes through it. America doesn't go through it now. Earlier, they used to go through it. But what are the advantages? What America drew from the previous experiences? Their people who served in the armed forces, they came out and got into the defense production industry. They got into the research and development establishment, which happens in Israel. Even today, after 2 years, the boys and girls, when they come out, they take a small break where you find them roaming around in India, maybe in Himachal Pradesh or somewhere, or Goa. When they get back, they are very clear in their mind. As a user, what challenges did they face? And what solutions do they have in mind? And most of the startups either are initiated by these youngsters or by others who have already done a startup. And that's why Israel is known as the startup nation. What they are good at is not creating huge structures. They are very good at simplifying procedures. I think that is what is a challenge here. Maybe there is a colonial legacy that every engineer would want an office, a chamber, and a vehicle, and what is the output that comes next. But I have met some very good engineers, young lot in ordnance factories, in DRDO. They are inspired. They want to do things. As seniors, as veterans, as elders in society, what we have to do is to simplify processes of the government so that they are not suffocated. The startups run out of money. They don't have money. In their bank account, you can only see a loan which they have taken for education. And our processes, now they have changed. So this government has done that also. Otherwise, they were supposed to give a financial guarantee. They were supposed to show the order book. What order book? He's just started entering here. The services have done something nice. They have started competitions like a UAV competition or a hackathon competition. By that, you actually attract the talent. The youngsters come there. And that is when you get to know that there is tremendous amount of talent here. Capability is there. Hand-holding is required. Mentoring is required. The thought process that everything will be manufactured in India, again, needs a relook. There are enough number of products which currently we can manufacture here. There will be some products, some components. That is the reason where the government has laid down certain percentages, that the indigenous content will be of this percentages minimum. That puts a challenge on the manufacturing industry that they need to manufacture here. The imports, the government has been very firm that imports will not be allowed hereafter unconditionally, which means the foreign big firms, big companies will have to come here, find an Indian partner, do a joint venture, and ensure that the technology resides here, so that what you had brought out, sir, that during the hour of crisis or the critical moment, that leverage, which then impacts our diplomacy, should not be held hostage.
Yeah. I want to take you to a slightly different subject. That is, the defense production in the country. You talked about, it is being manufactured in the ordnance factories, DPSUs, and let's say private sector. So now, tell me, in terms of production, which these two set of entities are doing, that is the private sector versus public sector, there has been a lot of reports in the news that the quality of things prepared by the public sector was not up to the mark. And one example given was, let's say, the Sukhoi aircraft that you imported from Russia. they are of a very high quality, while the ones that were assembled in HAL, they had a series of spate of accidents, etc. While some of the private sectors has been very efficient, take the name of, let's say, Larsen and Toubro, they have manufactured submarines for the Navy, and the Navy, at least as per the media report, is happy with it. Larsen and Toubro is also manufacturing certain offshore patrol vessels, etc. In fact, most of the manufacturing of the Indian Coast Guard is being done by Larsen and Toubro. And almost anywhere and everywhere, they have supplied a vessel before the time. You know, a particular timeline was given, but they managed to beat it and gave it before the time. And at least by the media reports, the Indian Coast Guard is pretty happy with the kind of standards that has been achieved by Larsen and Toubro. So Larsen and Toubro has been a success. Similarly, Bharat Forge also, Vajragan, I think that is what they have manufactured. They have been a success. So now, please tell me, as on today, can we say that the quality of products manufactured by the public sector is comparable with that of private sector, or vis-a-vis both are competitive, both are now will generate confidence in the end user, that is the armed forces? Jan Khandare.
Sir, you gave the examples of something which is on the higher end of the spectrum of technology. You spoke about the aircrafts, the fighter aircrafts, and you spoke about the submarines. These require slightly higher technology. I am taking you to the lowest end of technology, where you and I as infantry officers, sir, we had no confidence at all on the number 36 hand grenade. If you recollect, sir, we would possibly in our counter-terrorism operations throw 500 grenades, and if we were very lucky, 100 would explode. And our bigger headache was to clear those 400 which were lying all over, because you couldn't have left those there, and the civilians are moving around in that area. And then the private sector comes up with something known as a multi-mode hand grenade manufactured in Nagpur. And the assurance level being given is more than 98-99%. And that has not only given us the satisfaction or the confidence that if I throw a hand grenade, it's going to explode and it's going to kill the anti-national elements there. But it has also, the moment it has come in service, you see the kind of demand from foreign countries. So the higher end of the spectrum is BrahMos or the Sukhois or the submarines. And the lowest end I've taken you is to a simple hand grenade. And hand grenade, if it takes so long to manufacture and ensure that its quality is good, then something obviously is wrong in the entire ecosystem of quality control or the manufacture. And is it that because there is a demand and a pressing demand, so even the quality is allowed to go through? I'm not too sure about that, and I don't want to comment on that. But the examples which you've given of Larsen and Toubro, Bharat Forge, solar industries, which I said just now, and there are, sir, any number of such industries which are producing the best quality. The second part you said is before timelines. Now, this is important, sir. If you have a plan to build submarines in a particular time frame of 15 years and you get a delivery in 10 years, imagine the cost of inflation that you cut down. And that is something which needs to be understood even by the users, that they need to push for tight timeline and ensure that. Because firstly, then you are getting the product in time. If you go on an extended timeline, and there have been tremendous amount of timeline overruns, which has been resulting in cost overrun, and by the time that equipment is introduced, sir, there is better technology with your adversary on the other side. So you have been a loser all through, because you could not produce something good, you could not produce in time, the cost factor went beyond control, and the cost of denial of this product with the services. So in overall, sir, I think we need to have a better level of trust factor in the private sector. They are as patriotic citizens as we have in India, those who are wearing uniform. At the same time, just because private sector is giving better product, we should not just start neglecting the public sector. I think their reformation, transformation to ensure that they remain competitive to the private sector will ensure in the long run that the country's defense production sector is optimized in all these four that I mentioned, sir.
Okay, I want to ask now, we'll close in next about 3 to 4 minutes, but I would like to ask you two questions. One is about the research and development in our country. And in this defense budget, which Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman gave, she talked about 25% of the budget will be shared by the DRDO with the startups, with the academic world, with the other scientific community, other private sector, etc. So please tell us about this research. That is one, because we somehow research area has been one where we have not been up to the mark. That is one area. And secondly, also combine it with, let's say, the best practices that we can adopt, especially from China. Today, China seems to be exporting anything and everything from their country to almost anybody and everybody, including India. I mean, I like it. Here we are fighting with them on the Ladakh border, and still I mean, imports from China are the highest in the recent times, you know. So what is that that makes them such a superpower in terms of manufacturing? What is that we can copy from them, which we can, you know, because as you said, we also must learn from our enemies. There's no doubt that China is our enemy number one. But well, they are world class in manufacturing. So please tell us about the research and then, of course, the best practices that we can learn from China. General Khandare.
So both your questions can be combined and answered in one. Like when you said research, the results being shared with the civil sector is exactly what comes up in your second part, where you said that what can we learn from China? So we are all aware of the military civil fusion. The MCF is the concept that we saw how it is happening in China, where there is a seamless sharing of the R&D results. Take, for example, if there is something which is developed in the research laboratories for the defense, and that has a use in the civil sector, and you realize that both the countries, India and China, are populous countries. The market is in the populous nature of these two countries, the consumption pattern. If you are going to supply something only to the armed forces, the scale of manufacturing and the capability to reduce the cost reduces by that much. But if you were to use the same solution for the entire population in a civil manner and leave only the military ruggedized portion to the armed forces, the scales of manufacture and consumption bring the cost down. And the moment the cost comes down, sir, you are in a position to compete globally. And that is what China has taught us, and we better incorporate it at the fastest. The government's call that there is plenty of research result residing in the labs of DRDO is a very correct decision. Those results have to go out. In addition to that, the money that increases in research, we have to realize that research is time intensive, cost intensive, and the labor intensity is also quite a bit. But there are countries which were and which are still leading in research and development. In those countries, the entire ecosystem is different. The designer is the most honored person in those countries, whether it is Israel, whether it is Russia. And that is the reason, sir, if you recollect, when USSR broke down and broke up, all over the world, people who wanted to move fast in research and development, and Israel is one of them, they just picked up those scientists and took them away. Even China did that. Even USA did that. We did it in some measure, but obviously what we should have done, we lagged behind there. So again, the decision time or the timing of that execution of the decision, in our case, we have to really cut down. So this part we will have to improve upon. And research sharing, very positive. Military civil fusion is a necessity. And the earlier we do it, the better for us.
General Khandare, we would like to ask you many more questions, but time limit is there and we must finish off in next 1 minute. However, I would like you to tell me in your concluding remarks, like, you know, when USSR broke, their scientists were pushed upon by many countries, including the European countries, etc. Is there any, are we doing adequately in terms of getting the non-resident Indians who are doing very well in NASA, in various technical firms in USA, Europe, etc., some of them who are doing wonderfully well? Is there any reverse migration which is taking place from the European countries, America, etc., back to India to fuel our either public sector or private sector? And then I will request you for your concluding remarks.
Sir, the aspect of reverse migration is not necessarily what we should be doing. We should be looking at reverse knowledge migration. And that is what we have been doing, and the government has done that. If you recollect, in the last about decade or so, we've been looking at the Pravasi Bharatiya and those initiatives which have been taken. The OCI cards have been given. Our people who are residing abroad are even eligible to have Aadhaar card. And these youngsters, the inspired youngsters, have come back. They have set up industries in their hometown. We have some very famous names also. Mr. Sridhar Vembu is one person who has done a similar thing and opened up a factory for his own people. And he's presently in the National Security Advisory Board. A right choice to get a person like that there. And in my interaction with him, he told me, General, I am looking at youngsters from the regional engineering colleges. They'll give me a longer tenure here. They are brilliant. They may be poor in English, but they are extremely good in technology. So that is one part. The second is people like Sridhar Vembu are coming. Just in the last about 15 days or so, I've been interacting with a young engineer who's very good in robotics and AI. And he's from Pune. He's set up a factory in Pune. And he has solutions which are badly wanted by the armed forces. So the defense production sector is benefiting. My advice to the people in power is be more inclusive. You don't have to suspect every person who is abroad. Understand that he possibly is more inspired than all of us, and let us make use of his inspiration, knowledge, experience, and what he's getting back in the form of latest technology. I think that is how we should proceed.
General Khandare, thank you very much. All that remains for me now to do is to thank you for your extremely, you covered so many facets which generally do not come out in the open media at all. And then people get worried, are we doing adequately? Are we in the right path as far as Atmanirbhar Bharat is concerned? I'm sure with this discussion with you, many of our viewers would be convinced that yes, well, our path to Atmanirbhar Bharat is definitely right. Obviously, we have to speed up and we have to reach the level of China. But I will thank you again, and on behalf of the viewers, I'll request you, if you can find time later. There are a lot of other issues which we could not cover purely because of lack of time. Maybe next week or maybe whenever you have time, we can have another session on this subject. Thank you very much, General Khandare, for your illuminating views on this very important topic of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Jai Hind.
प्रमोद ये काट दो और